Good morning, class. We will do the chapters Writing in the City Life. So, student, in the previous video, I uploaded the introductory of this chapter in which we talk about Mesopotamia, the city lives that began in Mesopotamia. So, Mesopotamia, the land between the two rivers. And the name Mesopotamia, it is derived from the Greek word meso, it means middle. Potamus meaning river. So here you can see the land between the two rivers Euphrates and Tigris. That is the part of the Republic of Iraq, but also included the part of Syria, Turkey and Iran. How Mesopotamia it became the cradle of civilization. So while human civilization it developed in many places around the world, it first emerged thousands of years ago in the ancient Middle East. We see the first cities, the first writing and the first technologies. So student, we will read how Mesopotamia it became the cradle of civilization. This civilization is known for its prosperity, city life, its voluminous and rich literature, its mathematics and its astronomy. By 6000 BCE, Mesopotamia had been settled chiefly by the migrants from the Turkish and the Iranian highland. Okay, Sumer is the ancient name for the southern Mesopotamia. The population of Sumer was a mixture of linguistic and ethnic groups that include the earlier inhabitant of the region. So when we talk about the Sumerian, they were highly innovative peoples. The Sumerians were the first people to have devised a scheme of written representation as a mean of communication. From the earliest writing, which were pictograms, simplified pictures on clay tablet, the Sumerians gradually created cuneiform. So Sumer was conquered by Sargon I, king of Semitic city of Akkad. So Akkadian hegemony, they were over the southern Mesopotamia. They lasted only 200 years. So the king of Ur established hegemony over much of Mesopotamia, however, was on the wane. So by 2000 BC, the combined attack of Amorites and Elamites, they had destroyed the third dynasty of the Ur. So student, we talk about the Sumer, then you saw Akkad, and then we talk about Ur, and then you will see a tribe here, Amorites and Elamites, they have destroyed the third dynasty of Ur. So the Amorites established cities on the Tigris and the Euphrates River, and Babylon, a town to the north, they made the capital. Okay, so they made Babylon the capital. About 1790, the king of Babylon, Hammurabi, okay, brought his empire, much of Mesopotamia under his control, and established the first written law, criminal and civil. So the Babylonian empire, it fell to Hittites invaders. Then you will see the Assyrians, okay, the Assyria or the Assyrians began to consolidate empire. In 700, the Assyrians captured Babylon, looted it, and they destroyed it. So in 539 BC, Babylon fell to the Persian army of Cyrus the Great. And then Alexander the Great defeated Persia. Alexander's time with some regional changes occurring from 1400 BCE, Aramaic, the language was trickled in or it entered gradually. So this language, similar to Hebrew, became widely spoken after 1000 BC. It is still spoken in some part of Iraq. So students, we read about 4 important dynasties or the major dynasties. and how this dynasty, linguistic and ethnic cultures, okay, that influenced the habitat of this region. Noah Ark and the Geosudra epic. So Mesopotamia, it was important, okay, to European because of the reference to it in the Old Testament, the first part of the Bible. So this Old Testament, it refers to Shimmer, meaning Sumer, as a land of brick-built cities. So travelers and scholars of Europe, they looked on Mesopotamia as a kind of their ancestral land. And when archaeologists, or you can see archaeological work, it began in the area. So there was an attempt to prove the literal truth of this Old Testament. So according to the Bible, the flood was meant to destroy all lives on earth. However, God chose a man, Noah, to ensure that life could continue after the flood. So Noah built a huge boat, an ark. He took a pair each of all known species of animals and birds on board the ark, which survived the flood. So there was a strikingly similar story in the Mesopotamian traditions, where the principal character was called Geosudra. So in 1873, a British newspaper, they funded an expedition of the British Museum to search for a tablet that is narrating the story of the flood mentioned in the Bible. By the 1960s, you will see it was understood that the stories of the Old Testament, it was not literally true, but may have been the history, you can see, way of expressing memories about important changes in the history. Mesopotamia and its geography. So as you can see, Mesopotamia is a land of diverse environment. So in the northeast, it lie green undulating plains. As you can see here, gradually rising to tree-covered mountain ranges with a clear streams and wildflowers with enough rainfall to grow crop. So in the north, you will find a stretch of upland called steppe, where animal herding offers people a better livelihood than agriculture. After the winter rain, the sheep and the goats, they feed on the grasses and low shrub here. So it provides a better pasture land for the herders. So in the east, you can see the tributaries of the Tigris provide route of communications, okay, into the mountain of Iran. So here you can see that the tributaries, they provide what? They provide a route of communication into the mountains of Iran. The south is a desert, and this is where the first cities and the writing it emerged. This desert could support city because of these two rivers, Euphrates and Tigris, which rise in the northern mountain, okay, and they carry lots of silt. When they flood or when their water is let out on the field, you can see fertile silt is deposited. So not only agriculture, Mesopotamia's sheep and goats, they grazed on the steppe. The northeastern plain and the mountain slope produced meat, milk and wool in abundance. So fish was available in rivers and date palm, it gave fruits in summer. So students, urban centers, it involved in various economic activities such as the food production, trade, manufactures and service. So city populations, they remain no more self-sufficient. Okay, it depends on the product or service of other people living in the villages or other cities. So there was a continuous interactions among them. Student, the divisions of labor is a mark of urban life. For example, the carver of a stone seal required bronze tool that he himself cannot make, and color stone for the seal that he does not know where to get. He depends on other for his need. So there must be a social organization in cities. Fuel, metal, various stones, wood come from many different places for city manufacturers. So thus you will see organized trade, storage, deliveries of grains and other food items from the village to the cities were controlled, and it was supervised by the rulers. So movements of good and cities and communications. So efficient transport system is very necessary for urban development. So the cheapest mode of transportation are the water routes everywhere in the world. The canals and the natural channels of ancient Mesopotamia were routes of good that transport between the large as well as small settlement. So the account of the city of Mari in the southern Mesopotamia, it makes clear the importance of the river Euphrates as a world route. So student, Mesopotamia, it was rich in food resources, but its mineral resources were few. So most part of the south, it lacked stone for tools, seals and jewels, the wood for cartwheels or boat, and there was no metal for tools, vessels or ornaments. So Mesopotamia could have traded their abundant textile and agricultural produce for wood, copper, tin, silver, gold, shell and various stones from Turkey, Iran or across the Gulf. So regular exchange was possible only when there was a social organization to equip foreign expedition and exchanges of goods. Beside crafts, trade and services, efficient transport is also important for urban development. To carry grain into cities, pack animals were used. The cheapest mode of the transportation is over water. Riverboat or barges loaded with sack of grain was propelled by the current of the river. The canals and natural channels of ancient Mesopotamia were in fact routes of good transport between large and small settlements. The development of writing in Mesopotamia. So all societies have languages in which spoken sound conveys certain meanings. This is verbal communications. Certain meanings you will see. Writing too is a verbal communication but in a different way. So the first Mesopotamian tablet was written around 3200 BCE, which contains the pictures like sign and numbers. So these were about 5,000 list of oxen, fish, bread loaves and list of goods that were brought into or distributed from the temple of Uruk. Mesopotamia, they wrote on a tablets of clay. A scribe would wet clay and pat it into a size he could hold comfortably in one hand. He would carefully smoothen its surface with the sharp end of a reed. He would press wedge shape or cuneiform sign onto the smoothened surface while it was still moist. Once dried in the sun, the clay tablet, it would harden and the tablet would be almost as indestructible as pottery. Once the surface dried, sign could not be pressed onto a tablet, so each transaction, however minor, required a separate written tablet. By 2600 BCE, the letters became cuneiform and the language was Sumerian. Writing was now used not only for keeping record but also for making dictionaries, giving legal validity to land transfers, narrating the deeds of the king, and announcing the changes a king had made in the customary law of the land. So Sumerian, the earliest known language of Mesopotamia, it was gradually replaced after 2400 BCE by Akkadian language. So cuneiform writing in the Akkadian language continued in use until the 1st century. So the system of writing in cuneiform, so we will talk about cuneiform sign did not represent a single consonant or vowel, but syllables. So the sign that a Mesopotamian scribe to learn ran into hundreds, and he had to be able to handle a wet tablet and get it written before it dried. So writing here was a skilled craft, but more important, it was an enormous intellectual achievement, conveying in visible form the system of sound of a particular language. The use of writing. Literacy. If we talk about literacy, very few Mesopotamian, they could read and write. Not only were there hundreds of signs to learn, many of these signs, they were very complex. A king could read. He made sure that this was recorded in one of his boastful inscriptions. For the most part, however, writing reflected the mode of speaking. So here comes the connection between the city life, the trade and writing is brought out in a long Sumerian epic poem about Enmarker, one of the earliest rulers of Uruk. In Mesopotamian tradition, Uruk was the city par excellence, often known simply as the city. So Enmarker is associated with the organization of the first trade of Sumer. In the early days, the epic says trade was not known and Marker wanted lapis lazuli and other precious metal for the beautifications of a of a city temple, and sent his messenger out to get them from the chief of a very distant land called Arata. So the messenger heeded the word of the king. By night he went just by stars. By day he would go by heaven's sun divine. He had to go up into the mountain ranges and had to come down off the mountain ranges. So the people of Susa, a city below the mountains, saluted him like tiny mice. 5,000, you can see 5 mountain ranges, 6 mountain ranges, 7 mountain ranges he crossed. So the messenger could not get the chief of Arata to part with lapis lazuli or silver, and he had to make the long journey back and forth again and again, carrying threat and promises from the king of Uruk. Ultimately, the messenger grew weary of mouth. He got all the messages mixed up. Then Enmarker formed a clay tablet in his hand and he wrote the word down. In those days, there had been no writing down on words on clay. Given the written tablets, the ruler of Arata examined the clay. The spoken words were nails. His face was frowning. He kept looking at this tablet. This should not be taken as the literal truth, but it can be inferred that in Mesopotamia, understanding it was kingship that organized trade and writing. The poem also tells us that besides being a means of storing information and of sending messages afar, writing was seen as a sign of the superiority of Mesopotamia urban culture.